race fan, Brian Davis races, and you can too. Listen, I am super excited to kick off the 2019 cyclocross season with this video. Isabel's excited too. In this video, I learned some things about tire pressure, a formula that's kind of interesting, line choice, watching the pros go by me versus the choice that I was making, and then third, I learned a little bit more about like mental preparation in case things go sideways. What's your plan? So I'm going to pass those tips along to you because the goal on this channel is to grow our sport, grow our fitness, and grow our knowledge, and hopefully I deliver that to you today. So I'd appreciate it if you could subscribe and hit the little bell icon to follow along. Thanks for watching. Yeah, have a good day. That's all I got. So maybe I should work on that finish. Describe to me your first race ever.
I had been riding for maybe 2 years. I had my steel Bianchi and almost zero crit experience, and it was at the Diablo course. I don't know, 5-6 laps in, I clipped the pedal on the corner one.
I remember that.
And skidded off the pavement, got a massive concussion, broke my collarbone, woke up, had no idea who or where I was.
Yeah, maybe I will not put this one in the show. Were you nervous on that first race before you signed up, or was it pretty kosher?
I wasn't too nervous, honestly. I mean, people talk about road being so serious and whatnot. It wasn't really that bad. And to tell you the truth, I wasn't that nervous when I started racing again after I recovered.
Right, well, I'm going to warm up. Woo! Adam, thanks for telling us the story of your first race. I think that's actually, despite the crash part, it's pretty inspirational. Ride for a couple years, ride with people who do race, kind of get the feel for it, at least what the guys are like, and then go out and try it. And I would say 99% of the time, you're not going to crash on your first race. But if you do, you still race years and years later. So
yeah,
nice
didn't
work,
stop
Adam.
me.
All right. All right, let's go racing. Here is the whole shot at the 2019 Flyover Cross Race in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Carlos Casali leading the charge, followed by Anderson Bortoletto, and I am taking up third position for the time being. Now, I would like to say that I'm super excited about this cross season. I have some relatively good fitness coming out of road. I've had a really good year with trainer road, and I feel like I have a much better sense of my body and what it's capable of at any given time. So anyway, rough turn there by Anderson, to be honest, and then that kind of threw me off, and then Dan Teeters was able to get by. Dan was a former Wisconsin state champion and Illinois state champion in the same year. Unbelievable. So heck of an athlete. I think he pulled out of this race early because he had some pain from maybe a crash in his wrists, unfortunately. So on the road right now, I'm fourth, and if Dan had finished this race, I would have ended up fifth, but he pulled out, so I ended up fourth overall in this race with some really, really strong competition. Carlos had raced earlier in the day and I think he won the single speed race. I guess I'm not 100% sure. So, yeah, anyway, tough crowd. I think that's Mitchell behind me. I'm not sure, but he's a super strong rider as well. I think this was his first cross race. I think that's Mitchell. Not sure. I think so. Seems like it is. In any event, by the way, I hate it when I say that. Sorry, I say that all the time. I'm trying to eliminate some of these speech things from my mind, but let's talk about a couple things today. Tire pressure is going to be an interesting discussion for today because earlier in this week I had gone out and done cross practice, and I had tire pressure at like 35, and I run tubeless, and I'm full disclosure, I do run cheater tires. My tires are 35C because I tend to use them for gravel and adventure biking and other things. So it's on my list of things to do to get UCI regulated cross tires, but it's not in the budget at the moment. So I just want everyone to know I am on cheater tires. So sorry. Right. So we're going to talk a little bit about the tire pressure. It's a cross practice, and I did 30, 35, whatever. And I really wanted to get better, lower tire pressure. So I went out later in the week on my own to cross practice and messed around quite a bit more with the pressure and brought them way down, and I was happy with this race. So I started this race at 20 25 in the front and 27 in the back, which is cutting it a little close for my weight on tubeless. I weigh probably 175 when I woke up this morning, but all kitted up and everything, a little bit more. So that's it. So again, I'm in fifth wheel. I'm going to grab this spot back, and I think largely because I'm able to take some of these turns faster. I did not get a chance to pre-ride this course. Now that's going to become a pretty important factor in this voiceover later. There's one particular turn where this lack of pre-ride really cost me. I did get a little intel from my teammate who raced earlier in the day that this turn does not require brakes, but I did not believe him for a number of laps. So I would tap the brake, and I was really having a mental game with myself to see how little I could use the brakes, at least later in the race. But we'll hang on to that later. So Anderson is ahead of me back again, and I feel like I was a little bit better technically than Anderson through the technical sections, but I just could not match his fitness, which is the case in road as well. He's just a much more fit athlete than I am, so it's a struggle for me to maintain his wheel. To be honest with you, after this hole shot, I felt like, wow, things are really clicking. After that hole shot, I felt like this isn't that hard. I'm doing okay. And that lasted till probably about this point, and then I started to really question life choices, maybe a little bit further in, but I felt really good. My heart rate at the moment is about where it's going to stay the rest of the entire race. A couple peaks and valleys, but overall it's going to be like a 159. And if you've been watching the channel, you know that that's a lot for me. I struggle with, well, I don't struggle with it, but that's just how my heart works. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's just how it works. So this little section here used to lead out to a beach, but Lake Michigan has closed the beach for us, so we had to stay inland. Now I followed Anderson's line here, right? And I'm going to follow that line a lot through the rest of the race. Anderson took a turn there really wide. I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to get traction. But we're going to see a turn later in the race that's going to be what I would term the right way to take that turn. And I didn't catch it until a pro rider came past me later in the race, and I was able to watch how he went through there and pick up that tip right before the last race, or last lap rather. So that's the thing. So in the intro, I talked about tire pressure. I talked about what was the other thing I talked about? Tire pressure, planning, and oh my gosh, line choice. We just talked about that. So we're going to go through line choice, we're going to go through tire pressure, and we're going to go through prep. So let's talk really quickly about prep. So when I was on the start line, sitting next to Carlos, he had a problem in that single speed race. So he has a single speed bike, and something happened, something broke, so he had to get a pit bike. Now what he did is he has his geared bike in for the pit. So what he does, because his geared bike is electronic shifting, he unplugs the electronic shifting, and the officials allow that to happen as a single speed. And I was just so impressed to think, you're doing a single speed race, probably really just to warm up for this race or get pre-ride for this race. It's not something he cares deeply about. I'm willing to guess. But to take the time to think about, well, what if something does happen? Now, this goes back to a couple weeks prior. I did a race in St. Louis. I haven't done the voice cast for it yet, but I crashed, and I did not have a plan for crashing. I was just mentally shook. Well, why wouldn't I have a plan for crashing? That's going to happen in crit racing. It's going to happen in cyclocross racing. Why can't I think, like, okay, if this happens, do X, Y, Z? So I know where the pit is. I know if I have a wheel there or not. I know how far I have to go. I know the best way to get there. I know where medical is. I know where registration. Like, I just having this awareness. All right, so this turn here is going to be interesting. We're going to do this a few times. So you can see my speed here, 18, 19. This is where pre-riding really cost me. I forgot, because I did this last year, same course. I forgot that this was such a critical place to make speed. You're coming down that hill. I should have shifted all the way out and just carried speed into this section and just blasted into these roots. I was bottoming out once or twice at that 25, 27 PSI, so I was a little nervous about bashing into stuff too hard, but I could have carried so much more speed into that section. So anyway, that was lap one, if you were paying attention. So I went through the entire, or we're about to finish lap one, so I went through the entire lap, and now we're going to start skipping ahead so we can get this video wrapped up a little quicker than an hour that I was out there huffing and puffing. All right, so this is where I'm going to start to lose Anderson. I'm in a pretty decent spot on his wheel. I remember thinking I'd love to get on his wheel right now so I could get a draft through this windy section. There's a little headwind into the start-finish line, but I just couldn't grab it. And you're going to see I'm going to catch right back up with him when we get into technical stuff. So again, I think technically, I'm in pretty good shape with Anderson, but I just can't hang with that fitness. Boom! I bumped my head into his bike. That was funny. But this is pretty much how I was able to, or how I lost the wheel for Anderson. He was just able to drive right away from me here, mainly because of fitness. So it just stayed like this. It was a good battle for a long time, and I was happy with myself for having the mental fortitude to stay in this battle. And that's something that I've struggled with, certainly in cyclocross. I sort of mentally shut off or kind of give up a little bit, and I hate to admit that, but I do. And so it's super frustrating. All right, so we're going to skip ahead to this next hill climb. I was able to climb the hill. I think we had to go up this thing 5 times. I climbed it 3 out of the 5, or maybe I went up 6 times. Oh, it was more than 6, actually. It was probably like 10 times. And I only walked it twice, so every other time was riding it. And on the last lap, if you rode it, you get $5 premium. So here, let's do this next lap. See if I remember to pick up speed. So 20, 21 miles an hour. In the previous one, I could only hit 18 or 19. Now I got 2 extra miles an hour by hitting my shifting correctly to blast through this section. I still didn't really nail it, and my heart rate's pretty jacked, so that's part of it. So let's do another lap. See if I figure this one out. Click, 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 click. 21. Can you get... No, you're not going to... Okay, heart rate a little bit higher, 162 versus 161, so yeah. All right, so I want to talk real quick about tire pressure, just to run back to that. There is a method that I'm going to do a video on soon. It's called the Wyman method for Helen Wyman. She came up with this. She does a lot of cross clinics, or has done a lot of cross clinics, and this is basically how she sets the bar for everyone to start. So if it's a tubular, it's your rider weight divided by 10 plus 5. If it's a clincher, it's rider weight divided by 10 plus 10. And that's how you start. But I'm going to do a whole video on that, but that's a really good formula. If you're curious how to start there. Take your weight, divide by 10, plus 5. Take your weight, divide by 10, plus 10 if it's clincher. All right, so this is where I lose my podium. This gentleman, Travis, I believe, is on a single speed. And it's funny, when he goes up this hill, he's struggling because he's on a single speed. And somewhere I was infected with that struggle. So I had the same, why didn't I shift to make that easier? Frustrating, but I didn't. And that will be the last time. I fast forwarded there, of course, but that'll be the last time I see Travis. So that's me getting knocked off the podium. Like I said, Dan, who is ahead, I would have been 5th, but Dan pulled out. So I didn't know that those things were going to happen. And frankly, I totally blanked on where we were in this race. So here's this turn that does not require brakes. And this time I nail it.
No brakes that time. No brakes.
So not hitting those brakes is like giving yourself 10 watts. Oh, I forgot to mention this earlier. At 25 minutes, you saw a red arrow, and then now we're going to see this again at 35 minutes. So the difference here is those 10 minutes is where I really screwed the pooch on this whole race. That mental fortitude to blast through those 10 minutes really cost me, because at 35 minutes, when I started talking to myself...
Also no brakes.
Yep, still talking to myself.
Also no brakes.
When I started talking to myself, I started feeling better. I started to kind of coach myself through this race and get a little bit more mental tough, because what has typically happened to me in the past is I'll get to this point and then I'll start, again, mentally giving up, and I'll let people get by me and I won't fight for positions. Super frustrating. So it's something that's probably the main reason I'm really happy with this race, is that I was able to stick to it. Here's our turn again and our flat and fast. Let's see if I can carry more speed. All right, so we talked about tire pressure. We talked about planning. And we're going to get into line choice here in a moment.
No brakes. No brakes.
No brakes. Very proud of myself for the no brakes. And then this was a section. Get arrow is what I said there. So really focused on getting as low as I could through this headwind section. And Alan, who's a official / friend of mine, said, "Boy, you looked miserable for," and he nailed that 10 minutes. He's like, those few laps you went by, you looked miserable. And then after that, you just sort of turned it around and got better. So here's pro Brian Matters, raced in Europe, really strong rider. You can find him on Instagram. Wisco Disco is what he goes by, I'm pretty sure. So watch him hit this hill. This is interesting. He stays seated he stays seated much longer than I was previous in any of my attempts. And I got so wrapped up watching him that I forgot to shift the bike so I could get over that. So I was like, oh, pro, I'm going to see how he takes some of these turns. Yep, that's a cool idea, but you still need to race your race. Okay. All right, so this is one of those I ran up. All right, got a little remount here. It takes a while. And here's second place in the pro wave is Cole House. Really, really strong mountain biker. Pretty dang good cross racer.
Look at him, boss.
Cole goes by me. Now watch how Cole takes this turn, because this is something I was screwing up the whole race. I got rid of the rear view so you can see the whole screen here. This was a really tricky turn for me because there's really nasty roots here that want to push your bike. See, his foot comes unclipped, and he's able to take the inside line by unclipping and weighting his bike. And what that does is it allows him to stay further inside here and then take the outside on this next turn. You can see where I came so close to that tree, I was not able to carry nearly the speed that he does. He rails that turn too. He did it differently than me, but you get the point. All right, so again on that flat, still not hitting the speed
okay.
like I need to. More self-talk.
You're gonna be okay.
I think I need a counselor. More power. I need a counselor in my race, though. Maybe you do too. I don't know. All right, so I had a lot of... Oh, here's a teammate of mine passing. So I had a lot of low back pain in the first few laps of this race, and that dissipated about... Probably at that 35-minute mark, the low back pain went away. So I don't know if that was the yoga or breathing or what it was that was able to kind of make that go away, but oh, I was happy when it did. All right, another third-place pro goes by me. Now watch his line choice here. Rails through the muddy, ruts here. And then... Oh, let me get rid of the rear view. Sorry about that. You can watch him go through the ruts again. Commit to the rut, in case you're wondering. Don't know what to do with ruts? Commit to the rut. Just go right into it. Don't try to avoid it. All right, he's going to hit the concrete, and then he stays on the outside, and that allows him to stay on the outside of that whole turn and carry a lot more speed through it. I come to the inside, hit the tape, and then go. I think his way is much faster. So I think this is me trying it later on the next lap. Yep. This is the next lap. Staying wide, a lot more traction over there to start your turn. And then I ended up further ahead than where I was hitting that turn coming out. Again, if all the amateur riders are coming out of a turn in the same space, that's going to be pretty nasty. So if you can take a different line toward the end of the race, it really helps. Another pro rider passed me here. I should say lapped. So you can see he unclips and does the same thing. So I'm starting to sense a trend on those off-camber turns that maybe that's the way to carry a little bit more speed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. All right, now I figured out shifting on the last lap. I have a little more power. It's the last lap, so you can give her, oh, 22, I did it, yay! So this is pretty much going to end the race here. I'm going to stay in my spot. There's no sprint for the finish, and mercifully it's over at 1 hour. And I feel really good about this race. I was very happy with it.
Oh my God.
Good race. Oh. Good race.
Oh man. Situation report. That was really good. I'm very, very happy with that. It's really hard. First 25 minutes were brutal. And then there was 10 minutes of just trying to convince myself I'm gonna finish. And then the last bit, I got mad, hit myself for being a little baby cakes. And then I found some power. So I was able to fend off a lot of positions, which normally I would have given up, like 40 in and let like 5 or 6 people pass me and then been angry all day. I don't have to be angry all day. I can be happy about that finish. That was a good race. I feel really good. Oh, I feel really good.